Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. But sometimes one picture is so powerful that it shakes the conscience of an entire nation and its Supreme Court. It is this picture on your screens from Uttar Pradesh of a young girl fleeing with her books as bulldozers close in on her home that the Supreme Court cited as it once again fumed against Bulldozer Raj. And then the Supreme Court went on once again to fine the Uttar Pradesh government. With the 50 lakh rupee fine came a scathing rebuke to the UP government and the Prayagraj administration over their 2020 demolition drive. This is when the civic body razed 5 homes, mistaking them to be properties of the gangster turned politician Atiq Ahmed. Turned out these homes had nothing to do with the gangster, who, just by the way, as you know, was shot dead by the UP police in 2023. Once again today, the Supreme Court strongly criticized the Yogi government for its quote-unquote bulldozer justice, calling the practice unconstitutional and inhuman. The Supreme Court said there is something called the rule of law and the right to shelter. The bench, led by Justices A.S. Oka and Justice Bhuyan, slammed the state government for demolishing the homes of a lawyer, a professor and 4 others without any due process. The court made it clear homes cannot be razed overnight without notice and without a fair hearing. In this case, the homes were, ladies and gentlemen, demolished a day after notices were served. The court, hoping to set an example, also asked the Prayagraj civic body to pay all 6 petitioners 10 lakh rupees each in compensation. Hardly a deterrence, but well, something is better than nothing. As expected, the ruling has ignited a political firestorm. The Samajwadi Party has welcomed the verdict, accusing the Yogi government of using demolitions to silence dissent. But Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath remains defiant, defending the bulldozer model as a necessity rather than an achievement. Listen in to what he told the Press Trust of India.
देखिए, उपलब्धि नहीं है, ये यहाँ की आवश्यकता थी और उस आवश्यकता के अनुरूप हम लोगों को जो आवश्यक लगा, आज भी हम लोग कहीं अतिक्रमण होता है तो उसको खाली कराने के लिए उसी का इस्तेमाल होता है। तो बुलडोजर यह इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को भी दे सकता है और साथ साथ अतिक्रमण को भी हटा सकता है और मुझे लगता है कि उसका इस्तेमाल बेहतर तरीके से हम लोगों ने करना सिखाया।
So that is the Chief Minister, better known as Bulldozer Baba, essentially saying that bulldozers won't stop. And therefore the question, can minor fines put the brakes on bulldozers? If the Supreme Court guidelines are being openly flouted, where is the hope that these fines will work? My guest this evening, Sanjay Hedge, is a senior lawyer joining us on the broadcast. Faizan Kidwai is national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Shashank Shekhar Jha is a lawyer of the Supreme Court. And Jasmine Sandhawalia is the spokesperson of the BJP, still not with us. We are hoping to be joined by her in just a bit. But Sanjay Hedge, can I ask you, the Supreme Court has fumed and fined the Uttar Pradesh government and the Madhya Pradesh government for their bulldozer action over and over again in the last 3 years. Fayda to kuch hua nahi. Today, the Supreme Court has said 10 lakh rupees fine has to be paid to every owner whose home has been demolished by these bulldozers in Prayagraj. Is 10 lakh rupees or 60 lakh rupees a deterrence really when a political point is being made?
The Supreme Court is ramping it up in a guarded manner. The Supreme Court does not run the administration of the country, but it has to ensure that the administration of the country works by the rule of law and the constitution. Today, it has not only set aside the actions of the Allahabad authority, but it has said pay compensation at 10 lakhs currently. The point is it too little, too late? Or is it a step in the right direction? I prefer to be optimistic that it is a step in the right direction, and it should be seen by all officials as a warning that this time it is 10 lakhs, which comes from the authorities' pockets. The next time it can be from your own pockets. And I do think that no official or no elected official will learn unless and until the Supreme Court actually holds somebody personally to account. Because right now, what is
Correct.
happening is that, okay, you have brought down these houses and you have had to pay a flea bite of a fine some 5 years later. There is still incentive within the system to disregard the law. The law must be enforced with powerful disincentives. We are all shocked by the picture that you show on the screen right now of that little girl whose house was being demolished. And what was the story of those houses which were being demolished? If my memory serves me right, what happens is that across the road is a IAS officer, probably a promotee IAS officer who has built a big farmhouse on that side, and these houses are an eyesore. The father of that IAS officer threatened these people, and their houses are now in the dust. I doubt very much that any court will come and compensate these people, or that these people have the means to move a court. But those pictures have moved a nation. Hopefully, the administration recognizes that it has gone far too wrong and sets its house in order.
Jasmine Sandhawalia, I want to ask you what it will take the Uttar Pradesh government and even Madhya Pradesh to a large extent to stop what they see as bulldozer justice. We've all seen these pictures of the young girl fleeing her house that is being razed, clutching her books as if her life depends on it, and then watching her house being demolished, right? This is not the case that the Supreme Court was hearing today, just by the way. The Supreme Court was hearing a case and has fined the Prayagraj administration for demolishing homes that it thought mistakenly belonged to Atiq Ahmed. तो आपने अतीक अहमद के खिलाफ एक ड्राइव शुरू की, आपने उसकी प्रॉपर्टीज रेस करनी शुरू की. In your enthusiasm, you didn't even bother to check what is Atiq Ahmed's property and what is not Atiq Ahmed's property, and you demolished 6 houses that had nothing to do with Atiq Ahmed. Does
Shreya,
that not embarrass the government? To even step out and say sorry, instead of saying sorry, they are arguing in court that no, notices were served and these are illegal properties, etc. There is no embarrassment or sense of having done something wrong either, Jasmine Sandhawalia.
Shreya, it's a very difficult question for me to answer because as a human being, I also have a conscience. And when I see that little girl standing there, holding on, clutching on to her book and seeing her house bulldozed, it is not a nice thing to happen to any human being, to any Indian. But at the same time, I want to say that unfortunately, they were squatting on a land which did not belong to them. And it was an illegal construction. And like the senior advocate just said, that it was an eyesore to a senior promotee IS officer. I also want to bring to your notice, Shreya, and I'm not protecting the political system. I'm a former journalist. And what happens is that sometimes the bureaucracy protects itself. Just see what's happened in Punjab. They've beaten up a sitting colonel. I'm again not defending the UP government. I am saying that what happened was not something which is welcome. It should have not happened. They should have checked the paperwork. They should have checked everything. And every human being, like the Supreme Court has withheld, has a right to his house. It's a primary right. And time should have been given for them to go and appeal. But also at the same time, they had lost the appeal in the Allahabad High Court. They allege that they were served a notice on Saturday, and the house, I think, was raised in, those houses were raised in 24 hours. Yes, they have a valid point. The administration must have been in cahoots. The administration, but let's not just accuse the politician. The bureaucracy has become so big and so vested that sometimes the chief minister cannot does not even know when the action has happened. That is my case.
Okay. No, do you buy that really, Faizan Kidwai of the Samajwadi Party, that it is actually the bureaucracy to blame, it is not the politician? Because in this case, in the case of what has happened today in the Supreme Court, the case was directly linked to Atiq Ahmed. And the UP government was trying to make a point via this bulldozer action. Atiq Ahmed, of course, ultimately was shot down by the UP police in 2023. But do you believe that it is the bureaucracy being more loyal than the king, or do you see this as political?
The BJP has been weaponizing the state machinery to silence the voices of dissent for a very long time and target Muslims. Samajwadi Party has been saying this constantly, and finally the observations of the Honorable Supreme Court validates what Samajwadi Party has been saying. It says the action is inhuman and illegal, high-handed approach of the ruling party, that is Yogi Adityanath's government. It violates the rules of Article 21, which guarantees shelter to every individual. See, now, at least now, for now, the BJP cannot say it's a political allegation, because the highest court of India has reprimanded Yogi Adityanath for the bulldozer Jungle Raj. If you just see the data I have, the Human Rights Watch in 2022 said authorities in BJP-ruled states demolish homes of Muslims, and that too by bypassing the legal procedure. The Citizens of Justice and Peace says that around 100 houses were demolished. 75% of them belong to Muslims. People Union for Civil Liberties says extrajudicial punishment happens against Muslims. So this is how Yogi Adityanath functions. And this is not the first time the honorable courts have reprimanded Yogi Adityanath. It had earlier questioned the UP police for its lackadaisical approach in containing violence and maintaining law and order in Uttar Pradesh. A Ghazipur court had convicted 17 police officers for extortion. They were extorting 12.5 lakh rupees per month. And this is the way Uttar Pradesh is functioning. There's Jungle Raj, there's chaos all over, because Mr. Adityanath feels that if he caters to a certain section, a hardliner section, which unfortunately feels happy when they see the Muslims suffer. So this is what Mr. Adityanath is doing, and he'll continue doing that. I was listening to the bite Mr. Adityanath gave on your show. He said there's a necessity for doing what he's doing. Sir, if there's a necessity, then what about the 3 BJP IT cell members who gang raped a BHU girl? Why no bulldozer action? Yatinand, the hate monger, along with the members of Dharam Sansad, who spoke about killing Muslims, raping Muslim women, why no action? Why no bulldozer action against them? Then Mr. Adityanath himself, in his website, adityanath.in, he makes misogynist remarks against women, that if men acquire the qualities of women, they become divine. And if vice versa happens, the women become rakshas. So Mr. Adityanath should bulldoze his own house also, because he's talking nonsense. And apart from that, if you see the Bahraij MLA of Bharatiya Janata Party, his name is Suresh Singh, he filed an FIR against 8 BJP people itself for inciting riots there, and said they had a sinister plan of killing his son and putting the blame on Muslims. So why no bulldozer action against those 8 BJP members? See what Mr. Adityanath is doing. And the people of Uttar Pradesh at large
I get the point you're making. I get the point you're making, but a reverse argument can also be made that this is about illegal, illegal construction. This is not about Hindu Muslims, because in the last case where the Supreme Court fined 25 lakh rupees, it was a case of a Hindu. That Hindu's house had been bulldozed by the UP government for a road widening project. He went to court. The court said, you didn't follow due process, you need to give him 25 lakhs. So is this just a Hindu-Muslim issue? Is it bulldozers just being weaponized against Muslims? Well, if you look at the timing, in most cases, that is what it looks like, Shashank Shekhar Jha. Because after all, how do you explain the fact that Atiq Ahmed is someone that the Yogi government launches a political battle against, and suddenly overnight you realize that this gangster has illegally encroached on land? The point is, even in this case, in the Prayagraj case that we are talking about, the lease actually expired in 1996. But the demolitions happen only in 2021. They happen overnight. Chronology समझिए.
Namaste, Namaste Shreya ji and my fellow panelists here. Shreya ji, I guess it is an unfortunate fact that in Indian politics there is too much criminalization. However, when someone is trying to actually remove that criminal activities, people are trying to link that with a religion. See, it is very unfortunate. Two things are very clear in this particular case. One, that the property owned, they did not own that property. You know, they lost those cases before Honorable High Court of Allahabad, and you know their freehold application were also rejected in 2015 and 19. So I guess there was no ground for them to claim any such things. However, Honorable Supreme Court, while granting them these compensation, has said that you know you could have given them more time to actually relocate. Now, those who are saying that, you know, why to use bulldozer at all, they forget and they cherry pick incidents. For example, on 18th February 2025, 15 houses were demolished in Telangana. On 24th April 2020, during COVID, 32 houses were demolished in Odisha. How will you do demolition and illegal structure? You will use some machinery. So JCB is a machinery, bulldozer is a machinery. Every state uses it.
Okay.
My only point is that, you know, proper due diligence should be followed. Proper, so for example, in this UP case, section 27 says that, you know, you need to inform the person who is capturing something illegally and then take action. Administration has done something where they did not give proper time.
Mr. Jha.
But to link that to religion, to link that to attack a sitting CM, only to say that you are making it a jungle, that is completely uncalled for.
No, Shashank Shekhar Jha, I will give you two examples. Okay? And these are both examples from last year. And therefore, the question arises, are bulldozers being weaponized against Muslims in this country? Okay? Both cases are from Madhya Pradesh. In Ujjain, there is a Shiv Yatra that is underway. Suddenly, someone, you know, screams, "Isne thuka." There are 3 Muslim boys who are apprehended. An 18-year-old spends 5 months in bail till the court actually discovers that the guy had done nothing. That the 2 people that the police had produced as eyewitnesses said, "Humne to kuch dekha hi nahi." Right? In the meantime, what has happened? You have not just sent the boy to jail, you have also sent bulldozers to his house. So the court has cleared him and said that this boy is absolutely innocent. Aisa kuch nahi hua tha. But in the process, you have demolished his house. आपने अपने आप decide कर लिया that you are the judge, jury and executioner. Similar case happens. A Muslim man is accused of rape. 1 minute. He is accused of rape. Accused of rape in Madhya Pradesh. His house is bulldozed. Then the court buries him and says that the woman had actually made up all charges. Shashank Shekhar Jha, there is something called due process of law. You are a lawyer. And if every murder accused and every rape accused home has to be raised, then the first person whose home you should have raised or the BJP should have raised is Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh.
Shreya ji, I guess this is a very completely wrong analogy. Brij Bhushan Singh has not been convicted by any court. His case is still sub judice in nature. Now, if you are talking about Madhya Pradesh and
these 2 people I am talking about have also not been convicted. The court said they are innocent.
Pelters, how will you take action?
And the Supreme Court has also said
no.
whether you are an accused, whether you have been convicted or not, bulldozers cannot raise your homes as part of punishment. The Supreme Court of India is saying this, not me.
No. Shreya ji, no. Shreya ji, Supreme Court has said that if you want to remove an illegal structure, you need to give them proper time. Supreme Court does not say that you cannot remove the illegal structure at all. And that is why after Supreme Court judgment of 2024, there were illegal structures removed in Gujarat. There were illegal structures removed in Telangana.
You are deliberately mishearing me. Sanjay Hedge, would you want to come in here and tell our viewers what exactly the Supreme Court has said?
I am just trying.
Well, since I've argued the demolition matters since I've argued the demolition matters myself, I can tell you that the Supreme Court has categorically said that you cannot have bulldozers as punishment. Bulldozers for encroachments, when necessary, can be used, but that too has to be after full due process. irrespective of whether you are an accused or even if you are convicted. Nobody can send a bulldozer to the house that you happen to own or happen to live in and add that as a punishment to you or your family. The doctrine of collective punishment is unknown to Indian law. And the Supreme Court actually quoted William Pitt, where it said that the poorest man may in his cottage bid defiance to all the force of the crown. It may be frail, its roof may shake, the wind may blow through it, the storm may enter, but the King of England with all his force dares not cross the threshold of that ruined tenement. So the point is that if you have to bring down a structure that is illegal, you have to go through the process of law. You have to give the person notice. You have to hear the person. After that, pass an order. Once you pass the order, you have to give the person time to appeal. It's only when every process has been done that you proceed to bring down the only that extent which is illegal. Many of these so-called illegal encroachments, part may be illegal, the rest of it may be all right. You have to do it to the minimal possible standard requirement. This kind of vengeance and parading with bulldozers, using bulldozers as your political symbol, that is certainly not on.
Again, my question remains, and if you could quickly answer this, Sanjay Hedge, whether anything will change, whether it will put the fear of the law in the minds and hearts of civic bodies across this country and governments across this country, because the fact is Supreme Court ki guidelines already hai. You have just put them out. Every government in this country is aware of them. It's not like this is the first time that the UP government has been fined for its bulldozer action. It has been fined before. The Supreme Court has said even before that our conscience has been shaken. But the Supreme Court can fret and fume and fine. It's not as if the political dispensation is listening.
Until a senior official, either elected or unelected, pays a personal price of possibly losing a job or losing preferment, advancement, or promotion, this thing will not stop. But please, every administrator and every politician who thinks that the Supreme Court cannot do it, the Supreme Court is watching. It is slowly ramping up, and I would not want to be the person who takes that fatal decision that tips the Supreme Court over.
Okay, Sanjay Hedge, we leave it there for the moment. Faizan Kidwai, thank you very much. Shashank Shekhar Jha, thank you very much. And Jasmine Sandhawalia, thank you very much for joining us on this debate. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, it's a wrap from me. Thank you very much for watching. Shreya Upadhyay is joining you at the top of 9 with all the day's top stories. Do stay with us.